The Y'all Show is all about the South, and right now on the program that covers all things Southern with your host, John Rawl, we're going to go to what I call a double dipper, as this young lady grew up partially in Oklahoma before getting to the volunteer state of Tennessee. She's a singer, and she's double dipping in that regards in music. She's a singer and a songwriter, and she's a funny lady too, a comedienne. And she's on with us right now to talk about her very dynamic career and so much more about what's going on in her life these days. She's got new music out. Everybody make welcome here to the Y'all Show, Kelly Lang, an Oklahoman turned Tennessean.
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm good. Did I do a good enough job of setting you up of what you've been doing all these years?
You need to follow me around everywhere. My goodness, it was wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, well, how about that? Born, I think, in Oklahoma City. Did I get that right?
I was born in Oklahoma City, and I ended up moving to Hendersonville, Tennessee, when Conway Twitty, who my dad worked for, decided to bring his whole organization over from Oklahoma to the Tennessee area for his career. And it ended up being a wonderful, positive move for my career as well.
And you just mentioned a place called Hendersonville, Tennessee, and Conway Twitty. And let me take this moment to remind some of y'all out there, Hendersonville, Tennessee, home of Twitty City.
Oh, yes. Have you ever been?
I did. I got to see Conway there, and I didn't realize that he was even going to be performing there. And I grew up as a kid, a lover of country music. You know what, Kelly? I still love country music. And what a great treat. In fact, I don't know if it was that concert or a concert by a guy named John Schneider that ended up being my very first concert as a little wee one.
You know, were you at Music Village?
Music, I don't know what that was.
Music Village is the theater right across from Twitty City. It's like the theater there on the property at Twitty City. I was the opening act for John Schneider in that theater, is why I was wondering if I might have
No,
back then.
I saw John Schneider at the South Carolina State Fair circa 1985. But somewhere along those lines, I saw Conway Twitty at whatever the big theater that Conway would have been performing there at Twitty City.
Oh, yeah, that was Music Village. It was a wonderful, wonderful place. I couldn't tell you how many people played there and how many times I opened for artists there. It was a wonderful gig just down the road.
And just down the road from there also, and I only bring it up since we're talking about music venues in old Nashville, and I hate to say it, but just down the road from Hendersonville, you got to cross over that Cumberland River. You got a place that used to be called Opryland, and the Opryland theme park. Did you perform there at all?
Oh, a lot.
I figured you did.
A whole lot. Not as a regular, but I would go in and do special performances there. And, of course, Nashville Network was based right there, too. So
yeah.
I did
I worked for the Nashville Network. That's why I was wondering. I've seen you on some old Ralph Emery-type footage, but I wasn't sure if you were a featured performer.
I did Ralph Emery morning show for 7 years, on and off, well, actually more than that, but continually for 7 years. And then graduated doing Music City Tonight and all of the Nashville Network programs after that.
Yeah.
So I've had quite of an experience either in Hendersonville or in the Opryland area. A lot of memories.
Now, also, because you said you moved into Hendersonville, what age were you when you moved there to that part of Sumner County?
I had to have been probably 6 or 7 years old. I remember it was I think it was 76, when we moved there.
But most of all your education was there in Hendersonville.
Oh, yes. All my education was here in Hendersonville. I graduated from Hendersonville High School. And Taylor Swift calls the same.
I know, and that's why I wanted to ask you, because there were some other ladies around your same age, Dina Carter, Mila Mason, and I believe Matresa Berg also went there. Am I right on all that?
Yeah, they were all a few years older than me. I think Dina had graduated from Goodlettsville, which is just down the road. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
y'all probably fought over the same guys back then.
No, like I said, she was a few years older than me, so I didn't know her until later on, after everybody had already graduated and got past their high school crushes.
Everybody, we're talking here today with a Tennessee lady, and she's just got so much stuff going on. And don't think that you haven't seen the last of what Kelly Lang's got to offer, because you threw me a curveball. I knew about you being a singer and a songwriter, but there's this whole comedienne thing. How in the world did that get started? And give me maybe a little preview of what you do there in your act.
Well, Years ago, Lori Morgan and I were writing her whole album called I Walk Alone. And we were talking about certain fans that were coming through during fanfare that seemed to know her more than they did, and they never really did. They got her songs wrong or her name wrong, or but they're very adamant. And a lot of them are, singers that are aspiring singers too. And so we were kind of teasing about that. So I came to the next writing session dressed like a crazy um, stalker kind of person that would be a fan of hers. And we just kind of came up with some silly lines about who this character would be. And then I took it a whole nother step further and gave her a whole background storyline. And it just, she ended up, I played Zanies in Nashville, and I did Governor Huckabee's show a couple of times as this character, and opened up Lori's show and TG Sheppard's show. And it's just been a fun thing for me. And I didn't intend for it to be anything but just a silly little thing. But we've got videos with this character on YouTube with like Ricky Skaggs and William Lee Golden and Scott Hamilton, and it's been taken up a notch, and it's taken on a life of its own. And I didn't even mean to do it, but in hindsight, it was at a time. XOXO is her name. You can go to xoxocountry.com and check her more out. But it was developed at a time that I was going through a health crisis, and I think a lot of the humor really helped heal me. And I think if people could choose a laughter and a happy times, I mean, in a sad times, it could be a real transition for you.
And you've chronicled on your website more some of the health problems that you've had to go through. Are you doing okay now?
I am. I'm 16 years out now, almost 17, and I'm so excited to be able to share with everyone a song that I wrote that many years ago, right before I was diagnosed. The song is called "I'm Not Going Anywhere," and that was picked up this last year as a national commercial for Ascension Hospitals. And it is really, it's been a nice platform for me to be able to go back and talk about my breast cancer surviving so many years with the help of that particular hospital. And the song has resonated in so many ways with people that had to leave their loved ones in the hospital or nursing homes or things like that, giving them comfort. And it translates to so many different situations. And so many people have said they've used it at a wedding or a funeral even. And it's kind of encompassed so many different situations. They're comparing it to Debbie Boone's "You Light Up My Life," which, how flattering for me, to hear that and have so many wonderful comments that people have written to me saying that my music has made a big difference in their lives. So having gone through breast cancer, it sounded like a horrible event at the time, which it was. I would never want to go back through it again. But I promised God that if He would allow me to get through that, I would try my hardest to use whatever opportunity I had to be kind of a ray of light for others going through that. And I'm trying to hold up to my end of the bargain and do the same for others, because I didn't have anyone to really communicate with at 36. I didn't know anybody that was going through that. And so it's been a pleasure for me to be able to use whatever talents that I have to make a difference in someone's life.
Well, please don't take this the wrong way, because I don't want that fellow from Humboldt, Tennessee coming after me, but you look fantastic.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. I've been in the pool today, so I'm just like,
that might be the secret right there, but yes, you look fantastic. And now roughly 15, 16 years past that crisis in your life, and that's what we all hope for every time someone is diagnosed with breast cancer, that they get through it as easy as possible and life goes on. And as your song said, it ain't over. So that's
it
great.
Ain't over. And, a slogan that I have accompanied or, taken into my own life is, some people look at a cancer diagnosis as a death sentence. And mine was pretty rough, I'm not going to lie. But I chose to change my way of thinking as not a death sentence, but it chose to be my life sentence. And I've learned to grow and live much bolder and more appreciatively. And my life has just really grown, and it's made me a more empathetic person and an understanding person, and I really wouldn't take anything for the lessons that I learned from that experience.
How could people find that song from some 15 years ago? Because I've seen it in that commercial. Where can people listen to it and maybe, like you said, add it to something special going on in their life?
Well, you can get the album, the physical album of that, on kellylang.net. And I've re-recorded it to the actual commercial version of that on an EP. It's called I'm Not Going Anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And on this new EP is the orchestrated version, a piano version, and also the story behind the song of how I wrote that. And if you wanted a full album that it originally came out on 16 years ago on the website on kellylang.net, you can get it on the album called 1111.
Ah,
And you'll be able to hear other things that I've written on there too.
all right. Well, that's good music. All Kelly Lang music's good music. But we, Kelly, have got to talk about some new music from you, including that right there, Old Soul, the latest release. It just came out in the fall, and you've had 2 singles from that, including Drive and Every Breath You Take. And because of the new album, because of all the excitement, Kelly, I should have prefaced this when we brought you on here. You're a darn Hall of Famer now.
I am. Can you believe that?
Yeah, you feel like an old soul with a Hall of Fame. Yes, you're in the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame, the OKC native honored in her native Sooner state.
What a thrill. I will admit to you, it's been surreal because of the pandemic. I haven't had an opportunity to really go there and accept, that award in real life. And I hope to be able to do that this next year. But, being an Okie girl, I have such roots there. I have lots of family still left there. I get to go back a couple of times a year, and to be nominated or inducted into that it's really humbling because I've been gone from there, for such a long time. For them to reach back and acknowledge what I do is of any importance at all it's a thrill. I didn't expect that to come. And any award, anytime you're acknowledged for something like that, it's incredible. And speaking of this album, I'm in the process of doing Old Soul version 2 because I didn't get a chance to get to all of the songs that I just absolutely loved. We crammed this one full of 14 songs, and it's all classic old vintage songs that everybody hears in the grocery stores all the time anyway. They're not necessarily country, but me being an Okie girl, it kind of puts an Okie country spin on them. But we're in the process of doing, I'm 3 or 4 songs into the second album as well. So this one's done great for me, and I'm excited. Oh, by the way, you can see the full music video of I'm Not Going Anywhere on YouTube, on my YouTube channel.
Oh,
and when you
great.
get there, click subscribe.
That's good. That's good to know. Again, kellylang.net is her website, and that should link you over to the YouTube page and everything else she's got social media-wise. And you in the studio, nice photo we're looking at of you working, I guess, we'll just say you're working. This might be a stage photo. Regardless, I know you worked hard when you're in that studio recording great songs like Drive.
Well, thank you. That's an old classic song by the Cars, and we put our own spin on that, and that has done surprisingly really well. You can see the lyric video on our YouTube channel to Drive, and it's been really cool going back to do songs that are predominantly done by a lot of men, and then you put a female vocal on it, and it really changes the whole dynamic of the song sometimes.
Who is your favorite? I'm putting you on the spot here. Who is your favorite male singer, country singer?
Hello.
Hello? I'm not familiar with Hello. You talking about like Farron Young, Hello Walls? Is that who you talking about?
Well, I have to say, obviously, because I'm married to a wonderful vocalist, T.G. Sheppard. He's my favorite human being on earth as well.
Ah.
But, if I was going to say favorite country singer of all times, Conway Twitty was the first one I ever heard, the first one I ever knew, and he's the reason that I sang, and I've got to give him kudos as well.
Very good choice. Your favorite Conway Twitty song?
I can tell you real quick, I love Goodbye Time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
my last conversation with Conway at his house in Nashville, I'd brought him a song that a friend of mine had written. I said, Conway, this song is so good. He goes, oh, it's wonderful, but I just finished my album. I would have cut that song if you'd told me otherwise, you know. And of course, we know how that ended up.
Was that
He ended
Final
up passing
Touches?
before. Yes.
The Final Touches album?
But I love Goodbye Time, and I was able to share that with him. And my favorite thing he said, because, you know, I was around him since I was 1 year old up until he passed. And although he knew I sang, he never really acknowledged, because I wasn't writing and I was an opening act for a lot of different people at the time. And he knew that I did, but he never said anything to me about it until the last day that I had a conversation with him. And he said, Kelly, thank you for bringing me this song. You're the only other entertainer that's ever provided me a song. I'm always giving songs to other artists. And I thought, yay! For him to say that was very special.
Kelly, I can't believe you didn't tell us that Redneck and Love Making Night was your favorite Conway Twitty song, but
No,
I digress.
That and Boogie Grass Band.
Yeah.
Nah, those weren't my favorites.
I see. What's your favorite T.G. Sheppard song?
Oh, Coming Back for More. I love that song. I think it's great.
I'm more of
I love all of
the
them.
War as Hell is more of my favorite, but that, you know, they're all good. Conway, T.G., all those guys. Good music. Kelly Lang, good music. We're talking with her here on today's Y'all Show with John Rawl, talk with a Southern accent. And we've been talking about the music. What about the songwriting? Where do you stand with your songwriting career?
Wow. Well, I go through phases, and I love to write only when I'm inspired. You know, like those are the times when I wake up in the middle of the night and I go, I hear a melody, or I hear, you know, I see lyrics or something. Those are my favorite. However, I'm in the process of writing a new song called Life Sentence. It's a conversation we were just having with the legendary songwriter Bruce Birch. He wrote It's Your Call. He wrote Wine into Water. Great writer. So he and I are writing together, and it's a little more difficult for me to write although it's my idea originally, when you write it with somebody else, you have to really make sure the other writer's happy and make sure the melody works with them. So it's a little more difficult over Zoom to do something like that. So that's been taking me a little longer. But, you know, I'm in the process of writing my first book, and that has been a challenge. It takes a lot of mental space and a lot of alone time to be able to do that. And that's I wish I'd started it earlier in the pandemic because I could have probably had it done by now. But it's very cathartic for me to be able to go back and revisit things in my life and have a different perspective on them the more mature we get.
Kelly, do you have children?
Yes.
Okay.
I have two older daughters. One is just now, she'll be 30 in September, and my youngest one's 25, and they're both married. My 25-year-old just got married about a month ago. And so we're empty nesters. Yay!
Now, do you have those are those TG? Is he the father?
No, they're from a previous marriage,
okay.
But he raised them since they were 5 and 9. So
is that right?
They call him Dad, yes.
And you've been married to TG since what year?
Since 2007, but we've been together almost 21 years.
Man.
We dated for a really long time.
Congratulations. That's not an easy thing to do. Any marriage is not easy to get that all those years under your belt, and for you both being in the entertainment business, a double atta girl for you.
Well, you know what? A lot of people say marriage is work, but we haven't felt that. We truly like each other, and we have fun together, and we look for excuses to take romantic trips together, and we're trying to plan one now, as a matter of fact. I guess if you were to look at marriage altogether, it's a challenge, but we have so much in common, and we really support one another's dreams, and we understand exactly what the other one's feeling when something is created or something is, when he gets off the road, and maybe I wasn't with him or something, I understand where he was performing and what he was playing, and vice versa. So we have that in common, and sometimes. If you don't have that much in common, I guess it could be a challenge, but for us, it's been just nothing but it's not perfect in any way, but it's not been a job, I should say. It's been fun.
And as you said, a real key ingredient in a marriage and a relationship is to actually like each other.
Oh my gosh, he's my favorite person on earth. And I
Favorite
feel
human
that I've
being.
never
Don't
met
demote him. He's the favorite human being.
favorite he is my favorite human being. I've never met anybody that eases my soul nearly as much as he does me. He's incredible.
Well, we're glad the two of you now, all these years under your belt and new music as well under your belt. By the way, we better ask about his current music status. Is he touring? Has he got new music out?
He is touring. As a matter of fact, we've been doing a lot of concerts together in Texas. He seems like we should buy a house in Texas more than Tennessee. But he's got an album out now. It's a first original album he's had in 22 years, and I'm so excited for him because he's done duets albums with Willie and George and Merle and all of that throughout the past. But for him to really go back in the studio and do one album that he's recorded all together. And I was really excited to be able to write a few songs on that for him. And I think that's encouraged him to get back in and do some stuff. And a song that he has getting ready to come out is a song I wrote about him, and it's called Good Man. And that should be out in the fall. We're really excited about that one because it's an up-tempo. It's kind of a fun thing, but it's how I feel about him. I want the world to know really what he's like at home. He's just a really good person, and I'm excited to share that with everyone.
Again, Kelly's husband is T.G. Sheppard, country music great. And as we wrap up with Kelly, I want to remind everybody that the brand new album out from her that you can check out is called Old Soul. There it is right there. Awesome photography, great music. Again, you can go on here and find songs that you'll just absolutely fall in love with, including Drive and Every Breath You Take. Is that the classic Every Breath You Take?
Yes, it's the Sting version. And you know what? A funny side note. Guess who took the photo?
Don't tell me. A guy named T.G. Sheppard.
Nope.
You did.
Conway Twitty's grandson.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. Michael Jenkins took that picture. He's an incredible photographer, and I want to give him high five.
Is he based in the Nashville area?
He is, yes.
Okay.
He's an amazing photographer. We love him.
Well, I like what he's doing there. Of course, he had an easy subject to take. It looks like there in that photo. I don't think you gave him too much of a hard time, did you?
That was I think that was the third picture that he shot that day. So we took a lot, but that's the one we ended up with.
Well, you knew what he was looking for, and you definitely gave him a great subject to shoot. Kelly, thank you very much for coming on today's Y'all Show and talking about Old Soul, your music, your ways of showing up and making people laugh with XOXO. KellyLang.net is the website for y'all to go to and learn much more about this OKC turned Hendersonville, Tennessean.
Thank you. I appreciate your time so much, and I look forward to talking with you again.
We will definitely make time to do that. And y'all, you and TG have a great rest of your day and week.
Y'all too.
All right. Kelly Lang, everybody. Well, that will wrap up here our conversation on the Y'all Show with this extremely talented Southerner. We will have more of the show that covers all things Southern when we come back here on Talk with a Southern Accent. You're listening and watching Y'all Talk with a Southern Accent.